Right, you're welcome back, and still on Morning Ride Fridays edition. It's time to look at our papers, and join me as I welcome our analyst, Mr. Meshach Oza. Good morning.
Yes, very wonderful morning to you. Always a pleasure being here.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so we'll look at the papers now. We'll begin with the Nigerian Tribune. We're just going to take it one after the other. The Nigerian Tribune. And the head story says Tinubu vows defeat of terrorism as U.S. military drafts action plans. Tinubu vows defeat of terrorism as U.S. military drafts action plans. And then we have a rider there which says present challenges are passing phase, President says. We also have we have opened diplomatic channel with U.S. This is according to the federal government. U.S. Congress seeks sanctions on groups, individuals over religious violence. Trump stands a wake-up call. This is according to Dixon. You can find the details on pages 2 and 3. At the top strip of the Nigerian Tribune, we have the 2027 APC plots control of Northeast. Taraba government said may defect on November 19. Rider says open discussions with Adamawa governor. Economy rebounding, inflation easing, says finance minister. Rider says FEC approves a $396 million loans for IDPs. Details on page 11. By the side, we have PDP crisis. State party chairman back Damagun's NWC. Details on page 5. Oyo approves reconstruction of Ido Akufo Eruwa Igboho Kishi roads. Details on page 13. Anambra poll. Amupitan faces first test tomorrow. Rider says EU deploys 687 observers, 98.8% PVCs collected for election, according to INEC. Obi seeks credible election, kicks against vote buying. Details on page 4. And on the health sector, we have combining vamping and smoking increases risk of prediabetes by 28%. This is according to study. Details on page 11. Now let's come back to the studio and analyze the screaming story on the Nigerian Tribune, which says Tinubu vows defeat of terrorism as U.S. military drafts action plans. Mr. Meshach.
Quite unfortunate that we needed to have a threat. I wouldn't call it a threat, a pronouncement from the United States government. President basically Donald Trump, for us to be reactive. It's a clear indication of a lapse in governance. I feel very sorry for this country because for you to make this statement at such a time is an admittance of lack of competence in leadership, because this is not something that is new. It has been, traditional rulers have been crying, indigent Nigerians have been crying, victims of banditry and terrorism have been shouting. We've had visuals, both pictorial and audio visuals of situations. I mean, at the domain of the government, the Department of State Security have done great work of intelligence gathering, but the government have not taken any action. And now the United States government have made a pronouncement, and we are running around trying to justify the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to be on top of its toes on the issue of terrorism. I stand to differ on the federal government position, because I don't think Nigerians are very, very visible, we are very intelligent. Nigerians want action, not political pronouncements like we have been seeing and hearing in the past 2-3 years, in the past 10 years with this APC administration. I'm not a political personality. As a case, I'm not affiliated to any political party, but leadership has failed us. Both the PDP and the APC at the center since 1999. They have not been able to tackle holistically the issue of terrorism and banditry in the country. Instead, these are the same people they use in achieving their political gains. Names have been mentioned in the past of people that have been sponsors of terrorists. Names have been mentioned in the past of people that are still in this government presently, that have been part of the people funding terrorism, and no action has been taken against them. They are still being recycled in the corridors of power. And now the United States comes out to say, this is our position. We want to come and help the Christians. And of course, everybody that has been a victim is not just restricted to the Christian faith. A lot of Muslims have equally been victims. But I think basically the issue is the United States position is an offer. What I expect the government to be talking about right now is to come to be collaborative, to look at the possibility of working with the United States intelligence gathering spectacle to be able to project and profess solutions to the high level of insecurity we have faced. The same United States, a couple of years back, was entered into this country to rescue a 27-year-old American citizen, and even the Nigerian government didn't know about it till it was done and dusted. And so that goes to tell you the vulnerability and the lack of intelligence gathered implementation within the ambits of our leadership. So the government should stop being combative with the United States government and look out at diplomatic options towards helping and collaborating with the United States government, who have better defense infrastructure to nip this insecurity in the bud. Because when I see bandits,
Meshach, do you actually think that the president has his arms wide open to welcome what the U.S. President said, Donald Trump, that he was coming? He said U.S. Congress seeks sanctions on groups, individuals over religious violence, and people are saying Trump's stance is a wake-up call. Now, do you think that this administration, the presidential level, their arms are wide open, and do you think it's a failure on their part for the U.S. to come in to the situation?
Let me take them one at a time. They're talking about their hands. It is at the stage it is right now. The U.S. doesn't care whether their hands are opened or their hands are not open to expect them to come fight insecurity. The U.S. have made a pronouncement. Yesterday, on Wednesday rather, the United States President gave an executive order to two committees in the Senate to carry out and report to him immediately on actions that should be taken from the facts that have been laid bare, taken against the insecurity in Nigeria. But if you ask me now whether the Nigerian government is, what was the second question again?
So if they welcome the help from the U.S., it's just like...
No, you talked about if Nigeria was ready to tackle or something. I mean...
U.S. Congress seeks sanctions on groups, individuals over religious violence.
Yes, no, I'm talking about... You made
Trump's
a statement about... Not about Trump's
okay.
You talked about whether... You asked if the Nigerian government was ready to tackle insecurity or not. Whether or not they are ready to tackle insecurity, it's an overstatement.
No, not if they are ready to tackle insecurity. If they are ready to give their arms, as in to welcome the U.S.
Welcoming the U.S. is not an option right now. The U.S. have said they want to come and look. The U.S. They are like the universal police. They have kept quiet. They have seen visuals. They have seen they gathered intelligence relating to the insecurity in the country. They have gathered intelligence with an understanding that some game players are still are fueling this insecurity, are still within the ambits and corridors of power. They have gathered intelligence that people who are aiding and abating this insecurity are known both to the government of Nigeria and to the United States. They even made mention that they're going to name names, which I know they will do. Trump, they don't need, at this stage, they don't seem to want to need Nigerians' government hand. Nigeria had all the opportunity to have shown both proactive and reactive measures in tackling insecurity, but we've not done all that. And that is why the U.S. and, of course, citizens have cried out to the international community to come and help, and now the U.S. wants to help. Like I did say, what I would expect the Nigerian government to do is to collaborate with the United States Armed Forces and intelligence agencies to look at how we can completely eradicate this insecurity, if not completely, at least to some level of sanity, so that people can go back to their lives and livelihoods, especially in the Middle Belt, the Benue Plateau, Katsina, Niger State. I was shocked to see bandits ride into a town in Katsina for a peace meeting with the locals, and that goes to tell you
negotiation.
Yes, negotiation. and nothing is done. We have command bases of the military all over the 36 states, and nobody took action to round these people up. So there's more to this insecurity in Nigeria than media. It is political. That is what I think.
Okay, well, let's just hope that it doesn't. In fact, let's just hope that it works out well for both the Nigerian citizens and also the US, because as it is going, I read somewhere where the president said there is nothing like one particular religion being killed, because that was actually the basis of their coming to help Nigerians. So, well, let's just leave it at that and hope that it works out well for Nigerians, because at this point, like they rightly said, it is a clarion call for Nigeria.
What the United States government is doing. It is not about whether the fact remains that Nigerians have been killed. Now, the reports with the intelligence gathered by the United States is the fact that there is a major genocide against the Christian faith because it was reported. You cannot act on information you don't have. It is not out of place to say only Christians. Both Christians and Muslims are being massacred, but the Christians are more in the picture of citizens are being massacred. Schools, boarding houses, children have been schools, churches, you name it, are being targeted by these Islamists who are extremists, and they don't care your religion. It is because of the fact
priests are being
kidnapped and killed. Now it's a clarion call for us to know that the reports were premised on genocides that were reported from the Benue Plateau axis and the Southern Kaduna axis. If the Muslims didn't report their own genocide, the Christians were crying out for help. So if somebody cries to you for help, it is he that cries for help that receives help. So, but if you and I in Nigeria knows that the genocide is not restricted alone to the Christians. Pagans are killed. There were a group of people that went to do their pagan worship in their water side. They were equally kidnapped. So it's not the entire Nigerian citizens have been affected, but mostly the Christian faith.
Okay. All right, let's take another story. Okay, let's look at the Nation newspaper. The Nation says, Tinubu, we will defeat terrorism, secure every part of the country. This is from the Nation newspaper. And then we also have tariffs, imports, restrictions, others for review. COAS promises soldier first policy. Finance Minister leads G24. Then we have Makinde approves 88 billion naira road projects. Details on page 6. On page 4 says Nigeria targets 32 emission cut by 2035. And then we have FEC rolls out approvals of 43 billion naira for Lagos Ibadan Road Phase 2, Maitama 2 District Judges Residence, $396 million loans for Northern IDP's Secretarial Health Project, concession of Port Harcourt International Airport, presidential task force to drive dirty December. Okay, and so we have GHL to AMCON. You can't appoint receiver manager for us. Alright, and the writer to the scrimmage story says Nigeria engaging constructively, diplomatically to address all genuine concerns. I think that's part of what we talked about on the Nigerian Tribune. And so we're going to go to the New Telegraph. New Telegraph says, we are engaging world diplomatically, we will defeat terrorism. All right, same as the Nation and the Nigerian Tribune. The scrimmage story are just one. Telecoms, Nigerians spent 2.5 trillion naira on data in 9 months. AMCON's plan to appoint receiver manager over GHL unlawful. And okay, GHL unlawful. This is according to management. Anambra Guba, voter apathy will be our greatest challenge, says INEC. Let's see, PDP crisis, you may be lucky now, but karma is real, Damago warns. And this is on page 14, as State Chairman Forum pledges support. All right, we have other stories. Says fake OKs design construction of houses for heads of courts in FCT. Senate absolve Airpeace of negligence, drug use by 8 pilots. Safety, house owners within airports to lose their properties to government. Okay, G24, Edu named chair pledges to focus on 5 strategic areas. Reps begin probe of security intervention funds. And the FITEC, Nigeria's banking recap strategy most ambitious in SSA. All right, so let's look at this story of the AMCON's plan to appoint receiver manager over GHL, and they said it's unlawful. Can you throw more light on that?
Well, I think it's about policy implementation there. If there must be a legal backing on that AMCON's plan, because when you look at the Nigerian worker has been a victim of pension fund PFAs, pension fund managers, and it's been a lot of difficulty in accessing your pension funds after retirement, and it's been this situation scenario has been on for
a
quite
long
time, and the hue and cry has been there, and government has not made a pronouncement. People are trading with pensioners' money. Individuals, companies are making a livelihood out of pensioners' money. As you retire, they should give you all your money. They will not start paying you in bits and all that. I think it's a reformist policy. I think I'm totally in agreement with the narrative, and I think we need to be holistic and treat the Nigerian worker, because we are all going to retire someday. Treat the Nigerian worker with some level of civility and in line with international best practices, and of course constitutionally. So it's very much in place.
But GHL is telling AMCON that you can't appoint receiver manager for us.
Of course, you can't. You can't be. You see, you allow the status. The biggest problem we have in Nigeria right now, when there's appointments when there's proxy, we call it proxy appointment. When naturally you should allow the trajectory of leadership hierarchy, the ladder to flow. That is where somebody that does not know the problems of your home, just like you appointed somebody to come and run your home, when you have people that have lived in that home, or bringing somebody to come and run DBS from outside, that's not a broadcaster, maybe because of the politician, for example, will not fit the same way as somebody that has grown through the ranks and understands
the system grow from scratch.
And it's that is the major reason they are making that pronouncement.
But you talked about pension, that some persons after working, they don't get their pensions in bulk. It's being paid bit by bit. This is the reason why most people rush to take this white collar job.
Yeah.
Because they are looking at pension. You get. So now, if this is like this now, people will no longer be itching to take white collar jobs, to take government paid jobs, because their pensions are not guaranteed.
Well, if you look at if the premise is on just the pension, I mean, they should look at how to reform the pension system rather, because you still know, like the most secure job are public service jobs, because with that you can access funds, you can access loans, and it's more secure and guaranteed. So people will always still prefer it to private sector jobs, except you're an entrepreneur or an employer of labor. But however, what we need to do is to reform the pension system and look at way that that retirees are valued after retirement, because most of them at that age of retirement begin to have health issues, and they want to have complete access to their money, so that they can be able to be less dependent on charity and maybe support from their children who already have started their own families. So it's a big situation that policies need to be changed on certain issues.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's look at the Punch newspaper. Trump threats. Tinubu rallies foreign allies as North rejects Sharia ban. Rider says FG vows to crush terror networks. NEF, ACF rejects US move to outlaw Sharia.
It's quite
quite
an
interesting look at that. Very interesting. Don't you say? When I read it, I just looked at him. I'm like, So US is moving to outlaw Sharia, and then the Northerners are rejecting it.
The issue with the Sharia law
Yes.
should be only applicable
to the Northerns.
People, the Muslims.
Okay.
With due respect.
Let's come back to the studio, please.
It should be only applicable to the Muslims, and understandably, we are seeing the usage of Sharia law on Christians and non-Muslims, which is contrary to the constitution relating to the Sharia law.
Yes.
And we cannot, a lot of people are falling victims to the law that is not applicable to them. I think what the US should look at more is a review of the Nigerian Sharia law.
Yes.
Because Sharia law has been there,
not to ban it completely,
because we are a divergent society. I mean, different laws applicable. We should interpret the law properly. On the part of the federal government's decision, they want to collaborate with. Is it now? This is something that should have been happening. It took the shout of the United States president for us to look at. Most of our we don't have ambassadors. It is now they want to build international relations. They want to appoint over 200 ambassadors and sundry international staffs.
That is the wake-up call that we are saying.
Must we wait for a threat first before we do what is right? That is where the problem lies.
And you know, they see this Trump statement as a threat to Nigeria. It
is not a threat. It's a statement of fact. What Trump has said, is it a lie? No. Is it the truth? Yes. Is Trump going to take action? Yes. If we don't take action, that is the reality on ground. The government needs to take action. It's sad that it's coming the action. We are fond of propaganda and that they will tackle this. It's the same thing they've been telling us from their manifesto campaign.
They've been promising any administration that comes.
They will tackle insecurity. The insecurity has left the periphery of the Lake Chad region, the northeast. It has not come centrally to the center of Nigeria.
And it's done openly.
It's done openly, with impunity. You are seeing them coming to annexed territories. So in Niger State, a lot of local governments have been annexed. In Katsina State, in Sokoto State, Kano State. So it's not restricted to we are scared right now because the government is keeping a deaf ears, has been keeping a deaf ear, a blind eye until now that the United States have decided they want to take action.
Okay, let's go back to the Punch. FEC OK's biometric flight boarding, PH Airport concession. And we also have FG rolls out new plans to tackle food shortage. Abuja discuss 6,800 workers amid power crisis. Anambra poll, INEC distributes sensitive materials, 55,000 policemen mobilized. Vehicle imports slide 10% on weak consumer spending. Pretty Mike gets 50 million naira bail for alleged drug offense. Newly inaugurated Tinubu campaign office demolished in Benue State. Alright, let's look at this FEC OK's biometric flights boarding, PH Airport concession. Let's look at that story. You think it's okay for the biometric flights boarding?
Well, there's nothing out of place. But see, it's not about saying biometric. Do you have the facilities? Does that change
can it be sustained?
Yes, can it be sustained? Biometric voting, voting we count. Did it count? Did the biometric voting count? Did the BVAS machine finally work when we needed it to work the most? So it's not, you don't copy people's content when you don't have the capacity to actually implement such content. Do we have the machines, the materials to undergo biometric flight boarding? It's in line with international best practices, no doubt. Are there not going to be compromises? Are we ready for it? We should take one thing at a time. That's my take on that. Okay,
Abuja Disco sacks 800 workers amid power crisis. How does that sound?
It doesn't sound surprising.
You sack 800 workers because of power, something you can fix.
And we've not been able to fix since independence.
So the people should suffer for your lack?
I think
that's why I said
it's like you looking at a place like NNPC, for example, that is absolutely doing nothing but billions of naira has been spent monthly, over 450 billion, to pay salaries to NNPC workers and its affiliates, and they are doing nothing. Yes. These are redundant. They are not just being, if they are being sacked, definitely in line with industrial relations law, they are going to be paid. They have found out that probably they are not adding value to the chain, to the value chain. So it's times you reduce redundancy by reducing the workforce to a manageable that can help in the protection and projecting of the ideals of power service to the people. Nigeria is suffering today because besides insecurity, power is another big challenge that if America can even come and handle power for us, it will not be a bad idea.
Allow them to handle insecurity first. At least when we are secure, we can start thinking of every other sector that needs to be handled. Okay, thank you so much. So let's look at the Guardian newspaper. Old battles linger amid new threats. Fight for survival and truth. We also have Tinubu vows to defeat terrorism as US plans military actions. Anxiety, site security, as Anambra over widespread killings, lack of accountability. 68% of electricity consumers bypassing prepaid meters. That's bad. Senate orders NAFDAC to outlaw sachet alcoholic beverages by December 31. Report ranks Nigerian state health emergency preparedness below 30%. FG bar sale of farm assets, approves airports concession, biometric upgrades. Damagu tightens grip as PDP state chairman disown rival leadership. Yoruba Ronu urges Tinubu to address Nigerians on genocide and US threats. Okay, so let's look at this Senate's order on sachet alcoholic. It says Senate orders NAFDAC to outlaw sachet alcoholic beverages by December 31.
You don't take this so serious. Just you say this is the first time they have made that.
That's what I'm saying, because I've heard this statement before and it's still there.
Yeah, and it's still there. You can
even this foil for food, it has been banned, but it's still
being used.
So
why they try to trivialize issues. We have most serious fundamental issues that need to be sorted out. And now they are talking, it's actually the problem of Nigeria. Yeah, it's a choice for someone to drink or not to drink, whether it's NAFDAC certified.
Is that even where the danger is? What about the bottles?
Thank you. Is that where the danger is? What about the bottles? So it's not...
chasing cloud.
That is it. I'm really... This is one of the assemblies that I feel so sorry about. This 11th assembly, they have exhibited a high level of incompetence, and they have not shown responsibility. And the reason of democracy is for checks and balances. The three arms of government are supposed to be for checks and balances, but we have seen a situation where the legislation and the judiciary, they become pawns on the chessboard of the executive. They don't do any form of checks and balances. They are like rubber stamp legislature and judiciary who just carry out instructions of the executive. And these are gameplay. Maybe some people of interest are wanting those that are producing sachet to go out of. But in Nigeria, you and I know that things like this rarely work because the political will for implementation is hardly never there.
All right, Daily Sun quickly. PDP convention Makinde Damagun rally states state chairman. Writer says, don't forget Kama is real. Chairman tells Anyamu and others. Something is wrong. Market panic deepens as stock loses 2.5 trillion naira in 4 days. I really don't know why I really don't know why they are saying that Kama is real. Chairman is always talking about Kama. I've seen that in almost like all the papers. Like there's something,
Kama is real, actually,
something that was done.
They are referencing to it's wicked at Kama is. You see, the biggest problem with our democracy is lack of integrity on the part of politicians.
Yeah, they take it as a joke.
Yes, most of them are political prostitutes, and they don't have they lack political ideology.
Yes.
And lack of internal democracy within the different political parties is costing us so much. if they had international democracy, kind of, look, there's no true democracy without a strong opposition. And when the ruling party is always trying to muzzle opposition parties into submission, into defections to the ruling party, that is not democracy. That is what we have seen in this country. Until we change our democratic ideals and accountability is restored to the democratic system, we are not moving forward in this kind of democracy we're practicing.
Okay. Other stories on the Daily Sun. Governor Mba Tinubu on mission to restore dignity, excellence of police, security agents. Separating AGF from Minister of Justice won't stop politicization of office. Dr. Ude, new minister. Abia, Akwa Ibom partner to link states with railway. Health workers issue 2-week nationwide strike notice. Tinubu to Trump, we will defeat terrorism, says government, determined to build prosperous, inclusive, and resilient Nigeria. We've opened diplomatic channels of communication with U.S., says FG. U.S. proposes airstrike plans for Nigeria. That airstrike plan is good. All right, let's see Vanguard newspaper. Alleged Christian genocide. U.S. Congress targets Miyetti Allah for visa bans, asset freezes. Nigeria not in panic mode. FG says it has opened discussions with U.S. Okay. Anxiety at Soludo. 2 women, 13 others test might tomorrow. Mba Fubara. Abiodu worry over deplorable state of police training college. Economy records strong growth. This is according to Edu. Electricity. Operator pushes for gradual transition to cost-reflective tariffs. False declaration of assets. Tackle backlog of cases. CJN tells Tinubu. FEC approves 43 billion naira for Lagos-Ibadan Highway, East-West Road, and others. PDP crisis. Damagu tightens grip as state chairman disown viral leadership. And finally, the Daily Trust says U.S. threats Tinubu response to Trump. And we have, despite peace deal, bandits kill 2 Katsina community leaders. 3 teachers attend to 207 pupils in FCT school. 15% tariff. Petrol may cost 1,028 naira per liter for diesel, and that's for petrol, and for diesel 1,194. FEC okays 396 million credit for IDPs, Sokoto and health projects. And the bottom strip, Chief Imam killed over alleged witchcraft in Kwara. Cameroon's Paul Biya sworn in for 8th term. Lagos gets new federal varsity amidst 7-year ban. Okay, so those are the riders we have on our dailies this morning, but there's one I want you to talk about before I let you go. It is the Senate's sexual misconduct. The Senate has approved a new bill prescribing up to 14 years in prison for teachers and lecturers found guilty of sexually harassing students in tertiary institutions. Now, it says the legislation has passed the bill in Abuja titled Sexual Harassment of Students, Prevention and Prohibition Bill 2025. It seeks to protect students from all forms of sexual misconduct in schools.
I think I'm in total support of that. I mean, it's something that has been long overdue. A lot of our daughters have been undergoing serious pressure from lecturers, teachers, and sundry staff for sexual inducement towards fulfilling their academic potentials, and some have compromised, some have spoken out loudly against it, and some have been victims. And we have had lecturers being set up as well. I think this pronouncement should be a wake-up call to our higher institutions and the lecturers in such our institutions to understand that these children are in their custody to be groomed to become better Nigeria. If we are crying for a better Nigeria, the responsibility is not just on the part of our leaders alone, it's equally on the part of we, the followers, as well. But all said and done, the Senate itself still has a lot of questions to answer, because Nigerians are very intelligent. I mean, the Senate still needs to tell Nigerians what they should stop. Sweeping some issues under the carpet. They equally have sexual harassment issues against the Senate President that Nigerians want to know the outcome as well. He that must come to equity must come with clean hands.
Sure. All right, thank you so much, Meshack Oza.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
That's where we will drop the papers for today, so I'll let you run.
Thank you very much.
All right, you just did a paper review this morning with Meshack Oza, and he has elaborated and talked more about some of the headlines this morning. We'll go on a very quick break, and when we return, it will be time for our next sport. Stay with us.